Okay. And the second line on page Kuf Nun Hey. Ukshem, in the middle of the time, Kishem, even as it is, as we have explained it, Shuhu Bi'Dio B'Chira, regarding the principle of the two simultaneous effects, Idea and B'Chira. Idea means the divine knowledge of all that is possible to transpire. And all that is, all the options that were provided for the creation. And then we say, Bechira, that the individual person in the world is given full jurisdiction of his actions. He can choose entirely on his own. So we explained how is this, how can we correlate these two things? Okay, we said that the principle is that this should be Yerach and so forth. Similarly, the similar principle surfaces when we talk about Behabitul, in the Bitul aspect. Bechira means human choice. Bitul means the nullification of the creation. We'll learn a few more words and then we'll focus on it. Shekol HaNibroi, in the principle that all the creatures, everything that was created, betailing are now. Now means as if they don't exist. They are full-fledged creatures. But they are not, and full-fledged creatures means that they stand on their own, and at the same time, they're completely encompassed and permeated by Elokus. Mitzad, the effect of this beetle is, the reason that they have this beetle, because of the effect, Bechinas Tzir Koima Diak. The Bechina, the aspect of Tzir Koima Diak. Tzir Koima Diak we already identified. This is the Koima, the full structure of Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon is where everything in the world, which is the beginning of creation, everything in the world has been identified there in the Tzir Koima Diak. This Tzir Koima Diak, on the one hand, it identifies and contains all the creation, and all aspects of the creation. At the same time, this Tzir Koima Diak, that Madrega, is completely permeated and encompassed by Oir Ein Sof. And here is where we have to focus and try to get some sense of what we mean by Oir Ein Sof. We all know the translation of the word Oir. But now we have to kind of step into inner meaning of it. Oyer alludes to two distinct aspects. Just like in the physical world, light has two distinct principles. It represents two distinct aspects. The light as it affects its surrounding. It affects the world, makes the world visible, simply speaking. And then there's the light as it is emanating from its source. And we already started, and we have to discuss more to get a full sense of this principle. Because physically, and we already discussed it, the way the world understands physical light is totally not what we mean by Oyer. And the only way to get into it is again through Mishol. The best mashal for the principle of Oyer is the human being. And as we already pointed out, the human being is a proper mashal for it. Because the human being actually represents and contains, stands for that which Oyer, which Etzem stands for. We'll discuss it. The unique thing about the human being in comparison to everything else that's in the world everything in the world is totally affected by the environment to which it is present. To very simple, just to get a handle on this statement. A table stands only if the environment allows for it to stand. The floor is a straight floor, and there is room for it, and so forth. The human being is beyond all of these defining elements. He is not there where there is room for him. He is where he wants to be. He is where he belongs. And he finds himself in a place that does not supply him with all the proper challenges and the proper meaning to his life. He moves elsewhere. He's never bound to the place where he is. In brief, to place a human being exactly, he is still a limited entity. Place him is not based on the place, on the world, the place that the world identifies, but it's a divine reality. He is in the entire world at all times. As we already pointed out, it's not the first time we're talking about this. When the human being relates to any particular spot, any particular place in the world, like this house, this room, this table. He is able to relate to these specific and limited entities by recognizing that they are really part of the infinity of the creation. And if this is devoid of that relationship to the infinity, he cannot relate to it. And we gave the example of that, a very clear illustration. A person who is in prison, and practically speaking, he has everything that you use on the free. But because he has no access to the total reality, he is in terrible pain. What is it in the human being that forces him and demands that he be on the free, so to speak, on the loose, relating to the open reality? Why can he be satisfied like this cup? I have a room, I have a place for it, and I stand, I'm peaceful. This is the principle which I want to discuss today. And this is the principle of the beetle. Tzir korma de yak. The human being, not only because of his intelligence, but because of the spirit of his neshama, it's beyond intelligence, beyond the seichel of insight. It's a neshama. It goes back to oyneg harotzen, to a sense of reality. When he sees light, he doesn't see light, he sees sun. What's the difference? Sun is the source of light, a real source of light. In other words, it actually brings light, it creates light on its own. It's called etzem per light. And then there is the light that emanates from the sun. Practically speaking, you use the light emanates from the sun. That's all you need in order to function, practically speaking. And that is the light that all creatures, all the world, all the animals relate to. Not the human being. He cannot relate to the function of light, to the functional level of light. He relates to where is it coming from? What's real about it? What does it stand for? Why is it there? What's the spirit behind it? That's the beginning of the human intelligence. Now, let's think about this for a moment. Practically speaking, all he needs for his own function, he needs a functional light. what's pushing him out of that? What's pushing him to look for the source, for the essence of it? Well, the inyan that to answer this question in two words, it is his sense of bittul. What is a bittul? He senses that this mitzias that he is experiencing, that he is functioning in, is not the real thing. The word ak stands for Odom Kadmon. Odom Kadmon means pristine man. The meaning of pristine man means man, which is the pinnacle of creation, man as he was conceptualized prior to coming into being, pristine. Now, why was man conceptualized before he came into being? Before he came into being, there's nothing to deal with. I don't have to elaborate on this question. Why was he conceptualized prior to coming into being? The answer or the explanation for this is God created the world. As we all know, created everything in the world. They say created the world, that means the world is nothing more than a creation. Nothing more than, as we said, the functioning aspect of the creation. The function aspect of light. But then if that is all that God gave to the world, the functioning aspect, I have to step off for this one moment and go to a motion to focus to this on this point. One of the principal things that parents give to children, parents serve the children in every which way. All of these services that parents give to children can be provided by anybody else. As a matter of fact, in most homes, there are babysitters, there are maids, and there are people who are taking care of the children. And in olden days, there was a person who was responsible to raise the children. All of these things that anybody can provide for children are things that identify the children after the fact that they're in the world. They do not give the child the sense, why am I here in the first place? the question of why am I here in the first place is a very profound question. We have already answered, you're here so that you can do good things. That is not the answer for a child. My question is not what am I supposed to do here? My question is, why am I here in the first place altogether? Am I an afterthought or am I an original thought? Original thought means that I was conceptualized before I came into being. Let's take that a step deeper. Why? The child is such an important thing and so great. He was stuck here, conceptualized before he came into being. In our world, we have already some thousands of years of experience, and people say a child is a wonderful thing. It's somebody to love. It brings you joy and pleasure to be able to bestow love on a child. That is not what begets children. To go straight to it, and then we can debate it if you want. To bring this principle out, the simplest way is to go straight to it. We live in this house, in this neighborhood, in this country, and so forth. All of these things that we can identify are filled and supplied by the aspects that we have in the world. But we do not really relate, we do not really identify ourselves as being who lives within a certain environment. In truth, we sense ourselves, we identify ourselves as being excuse me, that relate to a super environment, to an environment that has no boundaries, to an infinity of existence. We really conceptualize, we see our lives as infinite, and the life of a person as infinite. Even though practically speaking, we all know that a person lives a certain number of years, every second that he lives is an infinity. The reason it is an infinity is because he lives in the environment of infinity. That's the environment he relates to. This is why a human being, prior to acting, he contemplates what is the right and good way to do this. What's so difficult? What's practical? It's not practical. How is this action relate to the infinite truth in existence? That is the primary question that is constantly alerted in a person's mind. And here's a clincher. If a person wakes up in the morning and he sees a bright, beautiful world. And there's numerous things he can do. Then there's a nagging question. Why should I? What's bad? What's wrong with me in bed? What am I liking in bed? The reason I say it's a nagging question is because, in fact, it's nagging you because you need to have an answer to this. If a person loses sight of the answer to this question, then getting out of bed is a real challenge. It disturbs my peace. I'm not acting the way I am. I'm acting because under the circumstances I have to do this. I'm no longer a free man. What is it that gets a person out of bed? A person gets out of bed in order to participate in the infinity of life, not in any particular activity. And the reason he is pressed to participate in this infinity is because that's in fact what he relates to. This is how he understands his own being. Not because he has responsibilities, but because that's what he is. This is the difference between the human being and everything, absolutely everything in the world.
How does this go back to the child?
The child, okay.
I'm not asking you.
I thought it would be clear. What is pressing of a person, a child? Because a child is that which relates him into this infinite reality of the world. In other words, he's not just building houses in the world. He's creating something new.
The question was, why did this child, how did you frame the question? Why do you have to have this child in the first place?
That's right.
The child asks, why am I here in the first place?
That's right.
Yeah, so how does this answer that?
Because in his, the spirit of the human being is that he does not relate to that which exists. He relates to that which does not exist, prior to its existence. He is in the creator's camp. He stands here in this world representing the creator, not the creation. In our lives, in Jewish life, this is blatant everywhere. What are the 6 days of the week, or the 7 days of the week, representing the 6 days of the divine creation of the world? As far as the world is concerned, there were suggestions, I know in Russia, in all kinds of these perverted places. Maybe we should make a 5-day week.
5-day week.
Make a week a 5-day week, or 4 days, something that's more easily contemplated. 7 days is kind of an odd number. How much is 2 weeks? 14 days. 2 weeks is 10 days. It's much easier to deal with.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was explained today that Udam Kadman means that the human being was conceptualized.
From the beginning, right? Before he came into being.
And what's Sir Koyma Da'ak?
Sir Koyma Da'ak is that which is contained in this Odom Kadman.
Oh, so this Udam Kadman is not just that the human being is being conceptualized, it's more than that.
No, of course not. The reason we say human being, because in the creation, our world, the human being is that which encompasses the whole world. Which other creature understands everything that's going on in the world or relates to everything? The only creature that relates to it is the human being.
So this Udam Kadman was conceptualized, and in the Udam Kadman is the Tzir Koyma Da'ak.
Tzir Koyma Da'ak is the content of Odom Kadman.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue this. Just one more notch of this. This Odom Kadmon. Kadmon means pristine, prior to creation. In other words, Kadmon is as sensitive and representative of that which created him rather than what he is. What created him? What created him is the divine infinity. As mentioned all the time, when the Rebbe created Odom Orish, Odom, it says, after everything was created, Hashem said, Naase Odom b'tzalmeinu kitmusein. Let us make man. I mentioned many times, there is no other creation, and not the sun, and the moon, and the animals, where the Rebbe said in the Torah, the plan to do that. It's there. By Odom, it says, Naase Odom, let's make man. What is this? What does this tell us? In Torah, there's no empty phrases. What does it tell us that Naase Odom b'tzalmeinu kitmusein? Naase Odom b'tzalmeinu kitmusein is telling you that this Odom was conceptualized in the divine infinity. This is what demanded that it be Odom, because he will be represented of us. Odom, in the creation of the world, is a representative of Sabbatic of the Godly reality. Odom is a super creature in the world. Doesn't belong in the world.
This Nasa Udam is something with like the Udam Kadman. Is that referring to something to that?
You're a troublemaker.
Yes, I agree.
No, this is not what Odom Kadman. Odom Kadman is that which begins before that. That's what Mr. Maseno came up after that there was already an earth and the sun and the moon and the whole exact in the whole environment, and even animals. As it says, let us make men. And what did it say after that? V'yirdu b'tgaza yom Yerushalayim. They will rule the creation. Now, can I create a ruler before there is anything to rule? Now, this whole discussion is to make this point, and that's where we can come to the different beetle. Odom Kadmon, Odom, the whole principle of Odom is that which is the result and representative of that which is prior to creation. The creator, it's an attempt, it's not an attempt, it's a means to present the creator into the creation. As it is described in the Torah. He will rule. Who can rule? Who is allowed to rule? A visitor cannot rule. One who is a conceptualizer, he can rule. Odom is in that vicinity of the conceptualizer.
And the relationship to bittul is?
Okay, 1 second.
We're running out of minutes over here.
Okay, not a minute. Okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay. So, so he's on the conceptualized level. That's what the Mitzvah was saying. This is called Odom Kadmon. The Odom before he came into being. Okay, let's jump over to the principle of beetle. This is where beetle comes in. Beetle means you have a full-fledged presence, a human being. But really, what is a human being? What makes him tick? What makes him breathe? What makes him, like we said before, you wake up in the morning. You're comfortable in your bed. What pushes you out of the bed? Because you relate to something much bigger than your presence in the world. You relate to that which conceptualized you, to the conceptualized level. Conceptualized level, there's no limit to that. East, west, north, south, up and down, everything is part of your orientation.
And that's bittul, this relating to that greater thing.
That's right. That's bittul. I mean, you're part of the bigger reality. You're not anything that to yourself. You're not what you experience. You are what you were conceptualized. This is the bittul mitzad.
So you're coming to the ark.
Shir Kol Midayak. Shir Kol Midayak means the bittul that is due and representative and is effective due to the fact that it was conceptualized on Odom Kadmon level.
How do you relate Adam Kadmon being preconceived, man being preconceived with the fact that he's made to rule the world? Well, how do you relate bittul to the fact that we are supposed to rule the world?
Okay, fine. Ruling of the world. Okay, very good, Mike. Let's try. Ruling is an element. What do you need a ruler for? You have it in the house. What do you need a ruler for?
Because Hashem said so.
What?
Because Hashem said so.
Yeah, but what? What's the function? Why did Hashem say that? Because everything in the world, let's talk in practical sense. A country that does not have a government or a president is not a country. Why? Everything is there. It has no principle for its being. This principle of its being begins before this country is built.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
It's not. That's right. It's not an afterthought. This is the preconceived.
Can we continue this tomorrow?
It means Hashem. These things
The guy who
really
asked the last question said this.
need time. There's no.
Yeah, and you could listen to me.
I try to speak as fast as I can.
Yeah. It's fun. Yes.
Again, I thank everyone for the tircha to coming over here
It's not what you're.
and
It
to
is a
enable me to
tircha.
have the shir.
Excuse me. It's a tircha for Tzvi. Look at him. He looks like he's already exhausted.
I'm now in the middle of doctor's visit. Yesterday we spent with doctors the whole day. Mitzvah Hashem, they assured me that I'm going to come back to.
Baruch Hashem. Yeah, they did. Yes, sir. Baruch Hashem. Mazel tov on the good news. It's excellent. If the doctor said it, it's for sure true, because usually the doctor is saying, I don't know, maybe not. That's right.
No,